Albertina,
Morning, Chair.
good morning. Who's Jessizo?
Jesse, I'm not sure, maybe it's the PMG, Chair,
What is the PMG?
Parliamentary Monitoring.
Okay. Well, colleagues, the agenda is as follows. It's just the consideration and adoption of the committee oversight report, visit report, and then from there we close. Let's take the apologies if there are any, Albertina.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members and colleagues. Chair, I've got the apology from Tatu Kulu is attending another committee today. Mr. Madlala, MP Madlala is also not available for today, Chair. Those are the only two apologies that I received, Chair. And Chair, I'm not sure about MP Smith. According to grouping chair, he mentioned that he is having commitment that will start at 9 until 11. I'm not sure whether that was an apology, Chair. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, I don't think that was an apology. He was commenting. I had hoped that he was going to send an apology. It's fine. Thank you very much. Can we then have the report flighted, Nokuzola?
Is the report visible, Chair? Morning, Chair. Chairperson?
Yes, Knox. Good morning. Your report is very clear. We can see it, that first page. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's just showing paused on my side, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it just shows the topic, that page, where the first page.
Okay,
it
let
just
me
shows the
restart.
topic and the table of contents, and
Let
that's
me
all.
restart. I think let me restart the sharing, Chair. Sorry.
It's okay.
Excuse me.
Chair, we can see the report. Can she just move it up and down?
She says it looks like it's paused. Oh yeah, then it can move now.
Chair, I'm waiting for your guidance.
Okay. So you are going to just go to the introduction, and then I'm trying to open mine at the side, because I want us to go to the observation, the findings and the recommendations. However, I want us to go to the body. If you can go to the the introduction, just run through it, and then go to the visits to the farms, the observations that we've made from the citrus growers, and then the macadamia farm.
Chair, I don't understand. Should I go to the general observations that includes everything, or observations for each project that was visited? That might take time.
No, the general observations.
This is where I am.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, thank you very much. Colleagues, I'm not very sure whether you would want us to go through one by one, but let me try and do that so that everybody else is on board. Okay. So the Portfolio Committee, having interacted with the national and provincial departments of agriculture, chairpersons of the FPSUs, farmer associations and cooperatives, farmers and beneficiaries of the citrus farms and the FPSUs visited, reflected on the oversight visit and made the following observations. So these are the observations. The first one is that there were serious anomalies, including misinformation between the project profiles that were submitted by the department and to the committee. That's the beginning of it. And what the committee delegation observed in all visited sites, including the information it received from the department project managers and beneficiaries on site. Misleading information that was submitted to the committee on the status of Ngaka macadamia farming. The profile report gave an indication that the macadamia business, which received approximately 200 million from the national and provincial departments, was operational. And we'll all remember that when in reality, the business has been struggling since 2020 and officially closed down in 2024. Can you go up? Then lack of due diligence, poor planning, poor identification of project drivers, lack of beneficiary training, and governance failures contributed to the collapse of Ngaka macadamia farming. Lack of intergovernmental relations and silo working approaches was evident in Ngaka macadamia farming, which received varying amounts for similar activities from different departments, the same departments that were also not certain about other investments in the business. Misleading information that was submitted to the committee as profiles for farmer production support units, FPSUs in Alexandria and Sundays River Valley, which both have no physical structures. There was no due diligence in identifying sites for the construction of FPSUs in Alexandria and SRV, which could have resulted in fruitless and wasteful expenditure, a challenge that is often reported by the Auditor General of South Africa on building projects. Go up, Nokzola. Lack of title deeds and land tenure insecurity remain major challenges for emerging farmers, with some having been waiting for the title deeds for more than 30 years. This is attributed to delays by the former Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, which after the split from the former Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development became the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development. The challenge of lack of title deeds affects both land reform beneficiaries and those that bought farms through private means, and is a serious hindrance to farmers' growth, derailing the gains that some citrus farmers have made as they are unable to access finance for business operations and expansion. Lack of due diligence by the former Department of Agriculture and Land Reform, and later former DARAT, when buying farms, and upon acquisition, as well as ill advice on farming commodities. This puts up farmers for failure. For example, the Yeko family at Lovers Retreat Farm in Fort Beaufort, Upper Cut River, and Mrs. Metula at Sandkloof Farm in Peterson, Sundays River Valley. Inadequate and distinct lack of farmer support to all emerging farmers, including a well-coordinated post-settlement support and capacity building for land reform beneficiaries is a continuous challenge, while the department often relies on strategic partners for technical expertise. This was more pronounced in the failed brownfield citrus farms in Upper Cut River. Government funding policies are not aligned with the farming operations and lack agility to efficiently and timeously address farmers' needs. The blended finance scheme that is administered by Land Bank is expected to address some of the funding challenges, but it remains out of reach for most emerging farmers. Lack and inadequate access to water, lack of electricity, the high cost of electricity for those with access, poor road infrastructure. You can take the example of Zanyokwe, FPSU, Ripple Meat, pack house, and high packing costs charged by private pack houses, stifle development and growth of emerging farmers while threatening their sustainability. The high cost of electricity that effectively resulted in the discontinuation of farming operations as Eskom cut off power for those who could not pay. For an example, in Grilla, Lava Street, and Greenwood citrus farms in Fort Beaufort, and Sandlo Farm in Peterson. Inadequate mechanization and the general need for proper mechanization support for the different commodities and farmer categories. There is lack of support from government to address the challenges associated with water access, the high cost of electricity, theft of transformers and cables in farming areas, high packing costs, and lack of transparency by some pack houses. Lack of a clear plan to capacitate farmers on markets and to ensure transparency by pack houses, considering the reported high cost of packing charged by pack houses, which leaves citrus farmers more indebted instead of making profit from exports. Conflicts that arose among beneficiaries were not effectively addressed. These include Top Cut Farm in Fort Beaufort that Mrs. Metula previously successfully ran, but had to abandon due to unrest. And the conflicts regarding governance matters and use of Ripple Meat pack house in Ngoshwa, which is the only government-funded and farmer-owned pack house in the province. Strategic partnerships and mentorship program that black citrus growers on Plus farms were forced into by former Dalrad did not benefit the farms, as mentors and partners did not impart any skills to ensure that the black farmers are empowered to independently run their businesses. Instead, the farmers were left worse off and in debt. There is a need for government to investigate strategic partnership and packing costs in the citrus industry while developing a holistic approach to mentorship and strategic partnerships in the agricultural sector. The resilience of the citrus farmers in the province was commenced as they preserved, despite facing challenges that include indebtedness that emanated from failed strategic partnerships and inadequate funding, water access, high electricity, and packing costs. Lack of technical expertise in department and continued reliance on strategic partners is getting emerging farmers, excuse me, it's getting emerging farmers into debt and putting them up for failure. For an example, plans by the Eastern Cape Department of Agriculture to replace the collapsed chicory industry in Alexandria with oil seeds on advice from a strategic partner. Government focus on citrus to the detriment of vegetables and livestock, which are commodities that also have potential in the Sundays River Valley and have cushioned citrus farmers that are diversifying with livestock during a crisis. Infrastructure challenges and lack of support for farmers on municipal communities including limited support for livestock farmers in Sunday River Valley. The cooperative enterprise development function, which used to be in the former Department of Agriculture and Land Reform, might be misplaced in the Department of Agriculture, as farmers reported that if it is currently, I'm sorry about that, might be misplaced in the Department of Agriculture, as farmers reported that it is currently non-functional and no longer assisting. There is serious lack of monitoring and evaluation of government investments by responsible departments to track progress and identify problems while ensuring transparency and accountability. Lack of monitoring and evaluation and consequence management was witnessed at Macadamia Farming, Ripple Meat Packhouse, and SRV Citrus Farms. Excuse me, colleagues. There are no exit strategies and plans for government-funded farms or projects to ensure seamless transition for beneficiaries while making way for new entrants. So those are the observations. I don't know whether colleagues you want to comment on the observations before we go to the recommendations. I'll see by show of hand if, yeah. Honorable Trollip.
Thank you, Chair. I think those general observations are quite spot on. They are reflected under each of the different entities that we visited. I just want to comment that on 4.9, and later on it talks about putting up for failure. It should be setting up for failure. And then on 4.19, the reference to high packing costs, I don't believe that we actually interrogated that, so it's not a matter of fact. We should be saying that apparent high packing costs or allegedly high packing costs.
Okay, which one is 4.19?
4.19.
Okay.
No,
okay.
4.1. No, where is it now? No, it's not there. It's just after year call. We made a finding that the farmers say the costs.
I'm trying to also look at it.
4.12, Chair.
Or 4.12, okay. Okay, lack and inadequate access to water, lack of electricity, the high cost of electricity for those with access, poor road infrastructure in Zanyokwe FPSU, Ripple Meat Packhouse, and the allegedly high packing costs charged by private packhouses. Yes, because that was indicated by some of the farmers.
And then somewhere else it also says preventing farmers from making a profit. We must just state that it's alleged high cost because we didn't actually interrogate that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, where is the high cost of electricity? Which one is that? Is that 1413 or the one that we're commenting on? You are getting
I can't move it up and down, so I can't see it.
Hear you. Yeah.
Chair,
okay.
I said I can't move it up and down, so I can't actually find it. But there are a number of places where Nokuzola has referenced high package costs. Wherever she does that, it should reference allegedly high package costs.
Okay. No, I see in yeah. Okay. We will Knox. You will go to that and just add the alleged. Just go down inadequate farmer support and okay. While you look at that, Knox. Let's take Honorable Mthethwa.
There, 4.16. 4.16.
4.16, or lack of clear plan to capacitate farmers and market transparency by pack houses. Okay. So the alleged transparency by pack houses and yes, the reported high cost of packing. That's the second line, Knox. 4.16.
And Chair, just for clarity, look, I know packing costs are very high. I mean, it's cardboard and packaging and all that's high, and the cost of packing is high. But if we say it is high, it alleges maybe that our emerging farmers are charged more than commercial farmers are. So that's why we must just say they believe that they are allegedly high and militating against making a profit, because we might have to do some investigation in that regard. But we haven't done that investigation. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. We also, I think, what needs to be followed up is the allegations that some of the pack houses, the private pack houses, are not forwarding information to the farmers. So farmers take their produce there, but they don't know how it's packed, and because it has been alleged, and some of us who have never been exposed to that. Honorable Trolip, you may want to look for a spot. You are getting cut. We can't hear you.
Chair, I'm finished. I'm actually driving. I did inform that I'm driving to a meeting in Port Elizabeth at 11 o'clock. So
okay. All right. No, that's fine. I'm sorry. Then, Honorable Mthethwa.
Yes. Greetings, Chair.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, clear now. Thanks. There is another point where you were reading about lack of, I think, title deeds
Yes.
of land. In that point, I just noted as an observation, maybe if it can be lifted out so that it is coming out very clear, is that the separation of the Department of Land Reform and Agriculture, when it was together, when the department were joined, we could have actually maybe fast-tracked the issue of access to land, because it was internally. Now that we are separated, that problem is now exacerbated, because it means now those who don't have land, who falls under farmers, who are now reporting to Agriculture Department, so they now have their own duty, they are on their own to be able to fast track this issue, because land reform is obviously now focused on land, but when it is coupled with agriculture, there is a separation, whereas these things should be working together. So there is the reconfiguration of department has a reverse benefit, if I can say, to now the farmers, because they are no longer going to be able to easily now handle this within one department. Another observation, it's become clear that the Department of Agriculture is in the public sector space, but the activities of agriculture is in the private sector space. Now, for the emerging farmers, they need an incubation from the public sector until they break even, or at least they're able to go or walk on their own. Whereas in the private sector, it needs people who are already established on their own and there is little room for incubation. And unfortunately, the people, they find themselves in that clash of domain, public versus private, and then it is clashing in all aspects, such that you have to focus on profit while at the same time you need to be growing. And attached to that point, I put a point of
That
ecosystem
goes to Graham's talk.
and value chain. The ecosystem within which farming is taking place, it is integrated, if not interrelated, such that the ownership of implements, the suppliers of different commodities that you need as input stock into farming is in the private sector, and only the public sector can only give you money, but that money gets spent in the private sector and you lose it because it's about business. That's why you find our emerging farmers, before they can even break even in terms of profits in the private space, private sector, already they are failing before they even start, because government, even they don't own the factors of production in that space. And then ownership patterns is also attached to that. Ownership patterns mostly of input stock is actually also in the private sector. So there is a clash. And then the secrecy, the pack houses. I've seen that.
Honorable Mtetwa, I
Yeah.
want you to help us so that when we speak, we speak. If you are adding, you must say you are adding an
Oh, yeah. I
observation.
think.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
if you speak to a point, do you have that report there? Because if you speak to the point, if you can open yours there, so that when you speak to the point, you can
Yeah.
then point which point where you want to add or where you
Okay.
want to comment on, so that we are not lost.
Okay.
Otherwise, we won't finish.
You're right. Okay, let me, this one I can remember, the one of the packing houses, the pack houses. On that point, the observation is that all the pack houses, they are operating in secrecy of those whom they are receiving stock from, meaning the internal happenings of what is happening at the pack house is not known to the farmers who are actually bringing their stock there. All of them, they told us that once they hand their stock there, they don't know what goes on, to the point that even when profits are coming, when sales are done, they actually learn on the day that they are now owing instead of them getting a profit. And yet the stock has left, but that stock is actually now lost into the fact that you are even owing more, which means the financials of the pack houses are so much in secrecy that you don't even know how much is expected of you to receive a service, and you also don't know whether you will make a profit or not. So that part for me was very clear to say. I think let me stop there.
Yeah, you look at others if you want to come back, but I think on that one, it's very clear. Where is it, Knox? Because Knox has written it properly. She says the lack of transparency of the pack houses, and we're referring to the private pack houses here, and that's what Mr. Trolip was saying, that we did not interrogate that, and I was saying we may need to do that, because if farmers are complaining about it and we also don't know and we have not interrogated it, but it's very clear that it's not transparent, and we're talking about the private one. The government pack house where we went and where we met with the farmers there, clearly, as Mr. Trolip says, it should be allegedly high prices, because also the observation that we made there is that they were fighting. Even the people who were talking about the fact that the packing there is very expensive, and they're like, only for us to find that it's people who were fighting, families and whatever. So you no longer know whether the initial allegation that they moved out of the pack house because it's expensive, whether it is true, because later on we then realized that they were fighting for, for something else different than pack house fees or prices. Okay. Honorable
Aris.
David. No, I had David's first. Do you still want to talk, Honorable David? Oh, she doesn't seem to be here. Okay, Honorable Aris.
Chairperson, good morning. Thank you very much. Yeah. Chairperson, I want to add on to, I want to agree with Honorable Matwetwa because we don't know, we have never seen financials of this a project, and we actually need to get a forensic financial audit into this money because, or into this project, because it can't be that there's so much money in the project and we must just accept that the project had failed. It don't work like that. We need to ask a forensic audit onto the financials so that we see where did this money really go to. Because remember, that guy, that private partner that was having 49%.
Comrade, Honorable Aris, are you talking about the
macadamia?
macadamia?
The macadamian, yeah. I'm talking
Okay.
about the macadamian, yes.
Okay.
When he was there with us, he was just saying that he have withdraw, and no partner will just withdraw. So the question is, we need to see on the financials how that money, because it's money that National was giving, how that money was really spent. And then in terms of the markets, we also need to go and establish, even though the people did give their products to the one that did do the marketing for them. The question is it really, are they not, again, because there's division amongst those people. Maybe there are one or two of those people that have benefit out of that produce that are not saying it to us.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so you want is that a recommendation?
Yes, it's
because
a
we're still on the observation, so we'll put it aside. Knox, you will bring it back there when we talk to the recommendations.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Is there any other colleague who would like to speak on the observations? Okay, there is no hand. Let's go to the next item, which is the recommendations. Okay. So here are the committee recommendations. Just before we go to the committee recommendations, can I request that Knox, if you want to comment on the committee observations and the comments that colleagues have just made, if there's anything before we continue.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. Some of the issues that members have raised are covered, but when we edit the report, I can just make additions on the matters that have been raised by Honorable Mthethwa on land reform, and also I think what Honorable Aris mentioned is partly covered in the recommendations. We'll see when we get there.
Come again. You are saying what Honorable Aris has said is covered.
Partly in the recommendation.
Yes. Okay. That's why I was saying we'll look at it when you go there. item. Yeah. All right. And with the comments, we can continue. Knox, are you fine? Can we continue?
Yeah. Yes, Chair, can continue with the recommendations.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, colleagues, having interacted with the national and provincial departments of agriculture, having further visited projects and interacted with the beneficiaries, and in view of the reflections and observations discussed above, the committee makes the following recommendations to the National Assembly for the attention of the following ministers: Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development, and the Minister of Electricity, given the fact that we have had the observations that we've made on the high cost of electricity and lack of electricity in some of the farms. To the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture should ensure that the Department of Agriculture, in consultation with the Eastern Cape Provincial Department of Agriculture, provides a full and detailed report giving an account of the CASP and other funds that have been invested in the Ngqeqa macadamia farming on an annual basis since inception until its closure in 2024. The report should also detail the contractual and reporting arrangements with the NMF. Benefits that accrued to the community of Ngqeqa through investment from the department and implementation of the recommendations from the September 2025 due diligence report on NMF. Go up, Knox. Okay. Ensure, the Minister of Agriculture should also ensure that the department develops for submission to Parliament an outcomes-based action plan for the monitoring and evaluation of the utilization of conditional grants, for an example, CASP and other department funding programs. Also engage the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development to streamline farmer support programs to develop an agile, timeous and responsive farmer support package to address fragmentation, lack of agility and misaligned alignment of existing farmer support programs, which with farming operations. These support programs include the blended finance scheme, which is not effective and reportedly out of reach to most farmers. Ensure that he should also ensure that the department and the Eastern Cape Department of Agriculture develop for submission to Parliament an action plan to address the visited farmers' challenges regarding market access, poor conditions of access roads, which negatively impacts transport logistics and market quality of produce, as well as inadequate insurance. Also ensure that the department and the Eastern Cape Department of Agriculture submit an action plan to Parliament for addressing challenges at Ripplemead Pack House, which include rectifying the pack house design flaws, high running costs, bad access road, and conflicts among beneficiaries on the pack house governance structure. Ensure that the department develops a framework with an monitoring and evaluation plan for mentorships and strategic partnerships in agriculture. Institute an investigation into the operations of citrus pack houses, including the high packing fees that are charged some of the emerging citrus growers, and ensure that the department develops an intervention plan to assist emerging farmers that are constrained by the high packing reportedly. Go to the last part. Engage the Minister of Land Reform. Yeah, that last part there where we talk about by the high packing are constrained by the high packing costs. Okay, so it reads, institute an investigation into the operations of citrus pack houses, including the allegedly high packing fees that are reportedly charged to some of the emerging citrus growers, and ensure that the department develops an intervention plan to assist emerging farmers that are constrained by these alleged high packing costs. The minister engaged the minister should also engage the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development to review the placement of the cooperative enterprise development function that was previously with rural development, but since the split has been moved to agriculture. Farmers are of the opinion that since the move to agriculture, the function is invisible and no longer assists farmers. The minister should also ensure that the department, in collaboration with the Eastern Cape Provincial Department of Agriculture, develops a plan to support livestock farmers and further liaise with municipalities to revive the utilization of the communities such as those in the Sunday River Valley through provision of required infrastructure and technical support. Also ensure that the department and the Eastern Cape Provincial Department of Agriculture submit to Parliament a due diligence report and a plan to grow oil seeds to replace chicory in the Alexandria area. Also engage the Minister of Water and Sanitation regarding limited and lack of access to water by emerging citrus growers and other where am I?
5.11.
Or 5.11, thank you. And engage the Minister of Water and Sanitation regarding the limited and lack of access to water by emerging citrus growers and other emerging farmers in the Eastern Cape, and ensure that the criteria for the Agro Energy Fund allows access for citrus growers and other farmers that are struggling with high electricity costs. I'm going to stop there and allow members to comment on these recommendations to the Minister of Agriculture. Colleagues, if there's anything you want to add or you want to take out and you believe it belongs to another minister also. Okay, Honorable Mtetwa.
Thanks, Chair. I have this one recommendation, especially the area whereby people are saying department takes long to give them money and then they miss the season of plantation. To cap or to address that gray area, I'm recommending that we need to have a revolving credit facility either within the department or to the funding agencies, especially to those who are already recommended to receive funding, but pending what is understandably the turnaround period of the due process that must internally be undergone. We are saying so that we can match the standard of private sector operations. We are not pushing government to haphazardly approve funds, but we are saying a bankable note can be issued by the government. In the meantime, they're waiting for finalization of the due process of the disbursement of funds. But you don't withhold the farmers with your internal due process, which normally sometimes run parallel to that of the private sector and the season of plantation. So at least a farmer, if they can receive a bankable commitment or letter, with that letter, it must then state clearly to the financial markets, be it land bank or private bankers or anyone, that this promissory note, it is actually admissible for the receipt of funds until their own funds are actually available, because it's a clash of time. a clash of jurisdiction and a manner of operation. Is not that government doesn't want to release funds, but their processes must be adhered to. If not, it's going to be ultra various in terms of PFMA laws. So to adhere, so to make sure everyone is happy, let's have a revolving credit, and then it takes care of all the needs of the farmer, takes care of the needs of government in their due process. It takes care of the season of planting. Because you miss that in agriculture, you are already thrown in helter skelter. Thank you. The chair, uh, chair, is it fine if I put another one?
Yes, you can do that, Honorable Mtetwa.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot this one. I observed, since we traveled in these different locations where these projects are, there is an abuse of power by the powers that be it government officials against the recipients of service or so, something like that, if I can put it that way. I
Come
remember
again,
when we were.
can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm saying there is an element of abuse of power by the powers that be, especially government officials, in relation to those whom they are giving service to, especially when it comes to those who are expecting money from their end. The abuse which I observed is that when we were in Nceka, those people is either they were silenced to talk at some point, fearing the authorities, or what may have been communicated before, that if you divulge or you speak ill of this, obviously, is either you will be thrown out of a project or the project may not get the funding. So I'm want to advance that point to say how that abuse of power can lead to the demise of some of these projects. Because even if people, they do see what's the problem, but fear of victimization, losing at the least that you are getting, they end up keeping quiet, which has led to almost all these projects. Not that the people who are involved in this project, they don't know what happened. They do know, but the power that authorities have or officials have over their project and work is such that if you divulge or explain or tell on them, it has a retrospective effect of you ending up not getting an opportunity. So I don't know how we can recommend that in terms of the dealings with the people. At which stage do you say now they have received their money? Because once it's dependent on the powers that be, you will end up not getting it, and that's why some of the projects they fail. So that is an observation.
Sorry, let me understand you. Are you referring to the Nceka Macadamia project, or in general all the project like you citrus growers and the like?
Yeah, I think now I can link. Okay, I will give you example references. In Nceka, definitely there was that element too. Oh yes, it's still also Nceka wherein you find the Bobabu Pagate who are in the same project. Yes, I think that was Nceka. But I observed the posture of the provincial government. When you check the posture of them against national, it's such that it is them who holds the key to the success of their project in their area, such that even national cannot cross over or bypass them. So they are, for me, that element between the people and the province. There is an abuse of power, which is very invisible. It takes you must have a third eye to be able to see the tension that leads to why we That's why they left everything to the hands of national to say, sort it out yourself if you think you can. Otherwise, but there is an element of abuse and sabotage.
Okay, I think in the thanks, Honorable Chet. I think in the observations, when we go through the observations just before the recommendations here, there's a point that talks to the departments working in silos, not communicating, because I think what we are talking about is lack of working together between a national and province, which is stated up there. So probably what you are saying is that we must just emphasize, and I think in all the items that we spoke about here on the recommendations to the minister, it states that the minister must engage the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development. The minister must work with the provincial department. So in most of the items, Knox has brought in the element of them working together, and that the minister must make sure that they interact. Unless if you're talking about something different, I see that you have raised your hand.
Okay. Oh yes. Now I think I'm in agreement with you that you've managed to contextualize it in that way. I was just reminded of another point I wanted to add, if
Okay,
you
so
allow.
don't add it now. Wait, don't
Okay.
add it now. Let's allow Honorable David and then Honorable Harris, and then you'll come back.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Good
Honorable
morning,
David.
Chair, and
Good
good morning
morning.
to everyone on the platform. Chair, when it comes to the government, I was saying that we need to put in that intergovernment relations need to happen with province and national on the monitoring and evaluation of all the projects. And then, Chair, the timelines and time frames of funding, especially the blended finance that goes to the different farms, must go in line with the seasons and of production. And then the water scarcity, Chair, I think we must also put that we had to have a meeting with the Department of Water Affairs.
Okay.
Because that was one of the challenges there. And then another thing, Chair, is we need to, the department need to really look into the mentorship and strategic partners that they give to the different farms.
Yeah. Okay. Are you done?
Yes, I'm done, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think on the water issue, we do address it where the minister is requested to interact with the Minister of Water and Sanitation to address those issues. Thank you for the additions, especially the one with aligning with seasons by the blended finance scheme, because it reminds me of the projects in the Northwest. But also when we're going through the observations, the fact that the department relies on the third party to support these small scale farmers is a problem, and it's raised there, and that's what we also observed in the projects in when we visited in the Northwest. Honorable Aris.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I'm partly covered with what Honorable Davis was raising in terms of monitoring, specifically from the department side, because my question is, at what point in time do they withdraw from a project when they much money into this project, and then 6 months the project can go well, or but there need to be a time frame from what
time frame in order for the department to monitor this project.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. You've just reminded me of an issue. You know, this issue of the third party supporting the small scale farmers. I think that there must be some way that the department is, trying to find a way that would guide. I don't know how to call it, but there must be some guidance. Nationally, it must known that if you appoint a company that is going to support these farmers, what guidelines are they following in training? Because we find the third party saying that we have trained, but when you look at what they have trained, you can't find it. And the people that are meant to be trained, they tell you that they are not trained. And we also indicate on the observations that these people leave the small scale farmers with debt, and they leave them worse than how they found them, because once the money dries up, they are no longer there. So yeah, some guidelines on how these people should be appointed, and there must be some way that monitoring and evaluation stand out points that would allow the department to be able to observe, or monitor and get to know if when a person came and said, I'm going to train, they have trained. When they came in with the knowledge of the production, whether it's macadamia, whether it is citrus or any, that they would have, when they leave, they would have left those farmers with skills transferred to them. Yeah, I see that you have added notes to ensure that the department develops a framework with an M&E plan for all government-funded projects and develop guidelines and M&E plan for mentorship. Yeah, thank you. Honorable Mtetwa, you wanted to come in so that we can pass and go to the recommendations of the next minister.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Let me go back to the strategic partners. I have not, and it's an observation. Especially the TG group, the TGK is a TGK group, which we actually had to engage on our last meeting. The manner in which they are behaving in that project is very funny. One, the project is reported to be closed, but we have observed that they didn't exit the project. But what they decided to do, they just disappeared. But they still maintain ownership and shares. So I think the understanding there is that they are still hoping that if government can recommend that this project continue, they will come back again, claiming that they have ownership. So then there is a need for a minister to review all strategic partners that have been referred to the farmers, especially the non-performing ones, or those whom project fell through under their watch. It is clear that they had a role to incubate. They didn't. Things fell apart under their watch. A recommendation must be made that they can't be recommended to actually go and continue to be a strategic partner to other people as well, because they have shown that their interest was not necessarily at growing that business, but it was strategically sabotaging. because you can't have things fail because it's your name that is at stake. But it looks like these strategic partners don't care about their name. So clearly the intention is to sabotage so that then alone they continue to have no competition. They view our emerging farmers as a competition. So that's why they wouldn't successfully groom them to be equal to them, if not more than them. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Mthethwa, I think the point that you are making is now covered on what is that? Knox, is that 5.7? Am I right? Yeah. Let's go to then. Oh, I don't know whether I'm missing a hand here. Honorable Eris, do you want to say something? Okay, so it's a legacy hand.
Yeah, it's sorry.
Okay. Let's go to the Minister of Land and Reform. Yes.
You're still trying to.
Honorable Eris, do you want to speak? Okay. So the recommendations to the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development. I'm sorry, colleagues. Just a second. Colleagues, can you mute Eris, please? Nhlanhla, Albertina.
Hello, Chair.
Can you mute Honorable Eris, guys?
Okay.
Thank you. The recommendations to the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development should engage with the citrus farmers in the Upper Cut River Valley, Ngqushwa and Sunday River Valley. Excuse me. Oh, I think I'm catching flu. In the Eastern Cape to address their challenges with tenure security and receipt of title deeds. Some of the farmers, which include those that bought farms through private means and those that acquired farms through land reform, have been waiting for title deeds for more than 30 years. And that they should submit a report on their engagements and outcomes to Parliament. Just there, I'm reminded of something, but I'll come back to it. Can you continue, scroll, Knox? The minister should submit to Parliament a detailed report on the outcomes of engagement with farmers from the Zanyokwe irrigation scheme, FPSU, on land access challenges, tenure security, and lack of title deeds. Institute an investigation into the conflict that led to the abandonment of an operational top cut farm in the Upper Cut River Valley by Mrs. Metula, and her being subsequently given a dysfunctional farm, yes, Sandkloof farm with no equipment and inadequate water in the Sunday River Valley. That's very important, that. And then that you should ensure that the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development submit a due diligence report that was done before purchasing Sandkloof farm in SRV, and also a comprehensive report with dates on the condition of the farm when it was bought, its extent, the contract with the seller, decision to move Mrs. Metula to the farm, its condition when it was subsequently transferred to Mrs. Metula, and detail of support provided since she took occupation of the farm. To investigate and review mentorship and strategic partnerships there, yes. That farms on Plus farms, Upper Cut River and Sunday River Valley, are forced into by the Department of Land and Rural Development. Such partnerships reportedly do not impact skills to capacitate emerging farmers despite government investments. Instead, benefits accrue to the mentors and or such partnership allegedly do not impact skills to capacitate emerging farmers despite government investments. Instead, benefits accrue to the mentors and strategic partners who often leave emerging farmers indebted and worse off once the government funding dries up. Just before, colleagues, you talk to the recommendations to the Minister of Land Reform, I just realized that I did not give Knox an opportunity to comment on the recommendations and the additions to the Minister of Agriculture. Knox, before we discuss this part, do you want to say something on the recommendations that we've made to the Minister of Agriculture?
Now, Chair, I'm covered by the members and will add some of the proposals.
Oh, okay. No, thank you very much. Colleagues, the recommendations to the Minister of Land Reform, they are very clear. I'm glad that we have the ones that they should also investigate what happened around Mrs. Metula and this farm that was very successful, and having moved to that one that she does not even have electricity, where the previous farmer actually came and took everything there, and the department has not done anything about it. But I'm just reminded, Knox, also about the farmers. I don't know what was the area where we were, Knox, where we had a meeting in the community hall there, where officials of the department actually were hiding behind the doors there. They didn't want to respond to the farmers who were complaining that they have not assisted them. You had farmers there who had bought farms. One of them who said he used his entire pension to go and buy a farm, and that the department has not been able to assist. He has been requesting to be assisted. And the one that they interacted with, who has actually apparently bought a farm, but then left him on the ledge. They did not assist. And when we called them to come and respond, they did not want to come and respond. I still feel that even in those farmers, we still need to know what exactly happened and why is the department is not helping those farmers. There's an old man there who cried and who says he has a farm, but they are not assisting. He even was willing to sell it to government so that he can get his money back because it's not helping him. What was the area? If you remember.
Chairperson,
yes,
the area was in Komadaga,
yes,
I think.
Yes. Yeah, I think, thank you very much, Honorable Trolip. I think we must not leave it. You remember we said the officials, they must give us a feedback. We haven't gotten a feedback. I think somehow they must be forced also. And I think it was both officials at national and the province. The ones who were hiding were from the province. There must be something there, Knox, that talks to that. The minister of land must also try and get that information there. Is there any way that's reflected, Knox? Because if we leave them, they're going to continue and do that. And continue and not assist our people. Somehow we must find a way of making the provincial department to account on that, both the Department of Land also.
Chairperson, I've got my hand up. I don't know if you see.
Oh yeah, I can see it now.
Chair, also somewhere in that report, there was a reference to Mrs. Metula's farm, the
Yes.
purchase and the purchase price and the suitability of that property for citrus, etc. And we wanted the department to give us the business plan and the whole acquisition report of that
Yes.
property. We find this too often with all of our oversight, where the department through Land Bank are acquiring farms that are actually, not good farms, and paying a premium for them, and then putting beneficiaries onto those properties and setting them up for failure.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's there. Knox, can you go back to it? Let's see. That recommendation that we are making to the Minister of Land on the Metule farm. I want us to check if what Honorable Trolip is talking about, if it's included there. Oh yes, like institute an investigation into the conflict that led to the abandonment of an operational top cut farm in the Upper Cut River Valley by Mrs. Metula, and her being subsequently given a dysfunctional farm, Sandkloof farm, with no equipment and inadequate water, and the electricity, Knox, inadequate water and electricity in the Sunday Valley, because he was also crying about electricity. Ensure that the minister must also ensure that the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development submit a due diligence report. Is that what you're talking to, Honorable Trolley?
That's exactly. And
Yeah.
they said they would give it to us, and I don't know if they've given to us yet.
No, they haven't. They haven't given to us. Okay, no, that's fine. We will follow up actually on that one too. All right, thank you very much. Colleagues, you are fine here with the recommendations. I think they are very clear also to the Minister of Land Reform. Let's go to the Minister of Electricity, Knox. Do you have any comment, Knox, on the recommendation to the Minister of Land Reform?
Me too, Chair, if I can, on the Minister of Land.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I noted that after listening to all the farmers who were crying that for over 30 years, they have been waiting for their title deed documentation. Now, this waiting has been for too long, and now we are separating as department. Can we make a recommendation in the light of the separation that all the overdue farms to be settled in terms of delivery of those title deeds be considered as an assignment or work that needs to be finished since it started in the old order when the department were together? Because there is a danger as we file for separation now as departments, Land Affairs is gonna close anything that impacts on farmers, irrespective that they never delivered on this title deed. They will close the chapter, blaming it to say we separated, and then these farmers will be stuck with the Agriculture Department, yet the responsibility owing it is the responsibility of Land Affairs, but by line function, they might then distance themselves. So that we protect, we cushion these people on this method that is falling in the cracks of transition, that let's protect it, that it still must be dealt with in view that it was started in the old order. Should not be left hanging until it's brought to finality. Meaning we need a list of all those who says we've been waiting until the department separate. If we can protect that part, then at least no one is gonna say this is no longer my function given a new dispensation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mteto. Knox, is there any way where we're recommending that the minister should continue with issuing of these title deeds? I know that we flagged it on the recommendations, I mean on the observations, but is there any way where we are recommending to ministers? Oh yes. Okay, no, there it is. Okay, no, thanks. That's 5.14. It's okay. Thank you very much. We can then go to the Minister of Electricity and Energy, that he should engage the citrus and vegetable farmers in the Upper Cut River Valley, in Ngoshwa and Sunday River Valley, in the Eastern Cape to determine their electricity needs and to address challenges with access to electricity and managing the high cost of electricity in the farming area, to submit a report to Parliament on the engagements and the outcomes. Colleagues, there we are. Is there any comment you want to make or addition? The last part is that the minister should ensure that ESCOM develops and enrolls out an educational and awareness program to assist farmers with better electricity usage and suitable equipment utilization. And indeed, because it doesn't seem like ESCOM does talk to farmers. They just bill them and without explanation, and if they don't pay, they switch it off, which becomes very tragic to the farmers.
I'm here, Chair.
Honorable Trolip.
Yeah,
Mteto, you follow.
Thank you, Chair. I've just posted something on our group. I've got
Okay.
to go and do an interview, so
right.
I'd like to be excused. But I would also like to commend the Portfolio Committee support team for a very,
Yes.
very comprehensive report. And some of the observations that aren't in the overall or general observations and recommendations are captured in each one of the other entities that we saw. And I
Yes.
think it was a very, very good report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Trolip. Our appreciation. We're almost at the end, so you can be released here. Honorable Mteto.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I noted something here. In the electricity space at a municipal level, we have a policy which is called indigent policy. Indigent is normally given to the poor, welfare related, your widows, your child-headed families. In this case of emerging farmers, we must develop a separate policy position for emerging farmers, where in the same spirit of indigent policy, because under indigent policy they give free electricity of a certain amount. In this case, you cushion the emerging farmers for a certain period, at least until you have your harvest, because now the issue of electricity is an overhead such that if electricity is not there, production is not going to happen. Eventually, it sets you up for failure. So it means you can fail in your farm, not because you didn't have a proper business plan, you didn't have your ducks on the row, but the input costs were not taken care of. And at some point, you have not made money because agriculture is seasonal. So the only time the cycle is only when you've sold, and then you can have returns, is then that you can be able to take care. But we must cushion the tap. There must be a tap access to electricity to emerging farmers until a certain time that they have actually managed to succeed. But you must go and do due diligence that having given them electricity, did they make sure that they have a proper harvest? If not, is then that you can intervene by saying, we have stopped the tap because it means you had other problems other than just electricity affecting your business. Because in this case, Mame Chula, they've actually destroyed her business because every infrastructure of electricity was destroyed, was stolen. So if we can have a policy position, they will define it and customize it for emerging farmers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Mthethwa. It's flagged under 5.19. However, I would want you to flag that issue, the proposal that you are making of the policy, somewhere, so that in one of the discussions that we may have, I will see where we can put it on the policy specifically, where it can be discussed. So let's just flag that. But on the needs of the farmers on the electricity, we are actually giving the Minister of Electricity and Energy to go and engage and make sure that he understands, because once he engaged them, he will find those farmers who will tell him how they are struggling, and he will then be able to determine their electricity needs and how they should be addressed. Probably that issue of the policy can come through his department when he has discussed such things. Knox, anything that you would like to add, or that your comments you want to make before we conclude? Nokuzola. Okay, Knox doesn't seem to be hearing me.
Sorry, I was struggling to unmute. No, I was saying I don't have any comments. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. We have come to the end of the discussion, and this report, unless otherwise indicated, it is going to be submitted to Parliament, and within 2 months after the adoption of this report by the National Assembly, responses to the recommendations with required action plans and reports as outlined. So it just reminds me of the other reports that we've submitted, and whether the ministers did come back, and responded to Parliament, so that we can then follow up. But otherwise, in relation to this one, colleagues, thank you very much. Mam Dalani, are you here? Honorable Ndalan. Dr. Lankaban.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that you were not part of that.
Sir, I'm around.
Okay, I hear that I see that you're too quiet.
I'm here. I didn't know.
Okay. Colleagues, thank you very much for availing yourself for today on Friday, which is not our day for a committee, but I do appreciate it. To the team, Knox and the team, thank you very much for, I know that it took you long, and it was a lot of information that you had to deal with, Knox. We do appreciate it, that eventually you were able to come up with such a good report. I know that it may have been frustrating for you, for us to have postponed last week and the postponement again this week. However, given the discussions that we've had, I realized that it was proper that it was postponed, so that we get enough time, because on the 2 occasions that we postponed, we had no time. I think at some point it was 12:30 on the last week, and again this week. We're only going to get very less time, 30 minutes or so. And we realized today that we had to have enough time to discuss. So thank you very much for for your effort in the good report. It will then be, you will then make the corrections where you have highlighted, and then before it's submitted. Colleagues, can I hear a proposal to adopt this report? And the second, let me hear. Honorable Dogotela Nkabane.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Nkabane, I move for the adoption of the report with amendments that have been proposed in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkabane. Honorable Davids.
Chair, I support the proposal of adopting the report with the amendments. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much. So the report stands adopted. Notes and the team. Thank you very much once more. The meeting stands adjourned, colleagues. We will meet again next week.